Alright, so we've had these rumours going around for a while now that James Gunn's time at DC as head is limited. His days are numbered as head of DC. And the previous rumour that I covered was that once this Warner Brothers deal went through, Gunn would be out as head of DC. And essentially what we're getting at the moment is a sort of continuation to this whole saga with James Gunn and Warner Brothers and DC. So, similar to what we have been told, it's again said that James Gunn will be out as head of DC Studios once Warner Brothers Discovery is sold. Recall when I first reported the news that James Gunn went on that YouTube tour and questioned his future at DC. Both Deadline and Puck News backed up what I said. Oh, this is Cosmic Book News, by the way. That's where I've been getting all this, where I've been getting all the James Gunn scoops from. So go check them out if you want. Following Netflix winning the bid to buy WBD, Gunn and Peter Safran ran to Bloomberg in a desperate attempt to save their jobs. Now, YouTuber Tachyon Pulse, who apparently has industry connections, says new industry chatter backs up what we've been hearing. James Gunn may not be part of DC's future once Warner Brothers Discovery completes a potential sale. While we have been told Gunn is out, particularly with Paramount's purchase of Warner Brothers, the YouTuber says even with Netflix, it's looking like Gunn will be out. The reason, according to the YouTuber, is that Gunn's DCU is too goofy. And obviously, the SnyderVerse, the criticism of the SnyderVerse was literally the fucking opposite. So they're saying now James Gunn's DCU is too cartoonish and fake, and they were saying what they said about Snyder's universe is that it was too dark and gritty and moody and serious. So they can't win, can they? They can't win with the fans. In a new video titled Revealing Netflix Big DC Plan exclusive, Tachyon Pulse relayed comments he says came from an industry analyst, raising doubts about Gunn's creative decision and long-term future at DC. Pulse described James Gunn's Superman as leaning too far into silliness, echoing concerns allegedly shared by an analyst who is said to have business involved in the industry. James Gunn has took it and become almost like a cartoon. That is actually the word that he used to describe it. While praising parts of the film, he pointed to moments that didn't land. There's 3 or 4 moments in it that make you go, oh, for God's sake, saving the squirrel where Superman saved a squirrel. Bit silly. A lot of analysts and a lot of people in the industry looked at that and said, that scene was not good. It didn't feel like a war zone, it felt like a cartoon. It felt not real, it felt plastic and fake. So, I mean, they're really they're really struggling to find the sweet spot with all this, aren't they? I mean, the thing is, it's like Marvel, the MCU in particular, really didn't struggle with this stuff. They really didn't have this problem. I mean, they kicked it off with, obviously, Iron Man and Hulk, and then they went straight into Iron Man 2, and then they just started building up the universe from there. And obviously we all know how, like, fucking phenomenal the MCU did. You know, it's the biggest franchise of all time. But they never seemed to have, well, no, it's a fact, they didn't have this issue. For some reason, I mean, DC are now on their, you know, second, third attempt at a cinematic universe, because they sort of did a soft reboot when Snyder left, because obviously Snyder stepped down. Snyder left during Justice League. But then obviously Justice League came out, and there were other films in development that were part of the SnyderVerse that got finished and came out, and they were still technically in the universe, but it was sort of a soft reboot, like Shazam. Like, Shazam technically is a SnyderVerse film, but it, like, really doesn't feel like a SnyderVerse film. It doesn't fit with the rest, because they sort of did this soft reboot thing. So they're sort of on their third attempt at cinematic universe. They're really struggling to find the sort of overarching theme. They're struggling to find their themes. And obviously Marvel didn't, that wasn't a problem for Marvel when they were building the MCU, you know. They kicked it off with Iron Man and Hulk, and they found the formula straight away. That's what it is with DC. DC haven't found their formula yet, and they're on, like, their third fucking attempt, which isn't great. It isn't great. And now, I mean, then if they do backtrack with James Gunn, I mean, what are they going to do? Are they going to do a fourth reset? A fourth reboot of the DCU? That would be pretty fucking crazy. So it then says that Netflix wants DC to go darker, but not Snyder dark. According to the analyst cited, Netflix prefers a more serious DC tone, though not a full return to the Snyder era. Netflix in particular's opinion is that it needs to go a little bit more back towards a darker, more serious project. They don't want to go Snyder, they don't want to go that far, but they do want to maybe pull a few of those things out. There's 4 or 5 scenes in that movie that, if they'd have been pulled out, would have been more what Netflix were thinking at. So, if Gunn is out, will be out, when will it be? Well, it could be 2027. So James Gunn and Peter Safran recently had their DC contracts extended by only 6 months, which aligns with when the sale of WBD to Netflix will go through. if a Netflix deal happens, Tachyon Pulse says the industry whispers point toward a leadership change. So James Gunn could be out in 2027. I actually think he can't quite help himself, so how would he bring Batman into this universe? And there is that as well. He wants to bring his version of Batman, a version of Batman, into the universe, which I think is really gonna sort of fuck it up for them, because they've got the Patterson Batman and it isn't going to be the Patterson Batman. Gunn wants his own version of Batman, and I think it's going to clash too much. I really do. I think it's going to clash too much, because the thing is, it's not going to confuse, you know, maniacs like us who know everything, but it is going to completely confuse casual audiences, mainstream audiences, who don't know every little fucking intricate detail. And from a business standpoint, I don't think they want that. None of this is confirmed, but it aligns with growing skepticism around Gunn's approach to DC's most valuable characters. If WBD is sold and Netflix takes a major role, DC may be heading toward a more grounded, less comedic direction, with or without James Gunn. So, what we've actually been told. We've actually been told the SnyderVerse is back in play, especially with Paramount and the Saudis. If Netflix does end up buying WBD, Snyder could always return to do The Dark Knight Returns, which could be cool. I mean, Batman v Superman sort of is The Dark Knight Returns, but a full-on Zack Snyder Dark Knight Returns movie could be fucking crazy. You would just have Batman just killing everybody, you know? Batman with an AK just mowing down thugs in Gotham. Obviously, if it's directed by Zack Snyder, we all know Zack Snyder doesn't give a fuck, and he'll just have Batman just slaughtering everybody he comes in contact with. So it could be a laugh. A full-on Zack Snyder Dark Knight Returns movie could be a proper laugh. While the YouTuber suggests Netflix will stick with the current DCU but go on the more serious side without James Gunn, similar to the SnyderVerse, without bringing it back. We've been told the SnyderVerse will return and then DC will go through another reboot, likely under head of Warner Brothers Films, Mike DeLuca and Pam Abney. There is also doubt whether the Netflix WBD deal will go through. Yeah, well, I think the Netflix Warner Brothers deal's looking fairly concrete at this point. Obviously, it isn't actually finalised, it hasn't actually gone through. I think it will be around 2027-ish that the deal actually gets finalised. So obviously it could, you know, who knows what's going to happen. Who knows what's going to happen. It's a whole year until it's technically finalised, so who knows what could happen with that. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to cover. So, yeah, see you later.